I'm trying to determine whether or not the administration actually feels that the Secretary would make available lands that are in protected status when there is no reason to. Can you lay at rest that concern?
I would, Madam Chairman, I'd prefer not to speculate on these areas on the Forest Service, on the Tongass National Forest. I would defer to the Forest Service on that.
But I think that we can agree that there is considerable land, more than 10 million acres, that lie outside of any conservation units. So for the suggestion to be made that somehow or other, if you give this land to these five communities to allow for possible development, that somehow or other we're snatching it out of parks or conservation units, I think it is wrong to suggest that. Mr. Barlow, I wanted to ask you about the issues as they relate to the benefits, because it has been suggested here in testimony today that the natives in the 5 communities have received their benefit because you are considered at-large members of the Sea-Alaska Regional Corporation. And to use the words from Mr. Lindekugel, he says you have already received adequate compensation. Can you speak to that? And you suggested that there is cultural benefit to owning your land, the value of native land ownership. I mentioned in my remarks that there's also financial remuneration that leads to benefit differences. But can you just speak to whether or not, coming from the Wrangell community, whether there is a concern as to whether or not there has been a level of equity or fairness in terms of what the other communities have been able to receive and the landless communities have not been the beneficiary of?
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the question. Certainly, we have not been on par with those that did achieve a settlement and have been granted lands. Those corporations have been able to engage in business practices. They've developed an economic generator to preserve, in some cases, to produce significant economic benefits to their shareholders that we can't because we don't have a land base to work with. Some of the things they've done besides enter into everyday business operations are engaged in things like cultural tourism, ecotourism. They've developed several benefit programs for their shareholders, such as scholarships, in some cases burial assistance, and have been able to provide additional dividends from their village corporation that we don't derive. And those benefits are in addition to what Sea Alaska Corporation does provide them as Sea Alaska shareholders. So we have been handicapped and literally denied 44 years of opportunity that others have been able to take advantage of. So that's why we feel this is an inequity and it needs to be adjusted.